Hello and welcome to another edition of the Hitting the Hardwood podcast, your home for all the latest Minnesota Lynx and WNBA news, analysis, and coverage. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. I'm your host, Mitchell Hansen, and after two weeks of the Paris Olympics, we now have the resumption of the WNBA season. It was kind of a nice little pause, little break as Team USA did their thing overseas in Paris. Coming away with gold, obviously, in a close, very, very close gold medal match with France. But now the focus shifts back to the WNBA season. We get things rolling here this week. As this podcast is dropped or is dropping, the season will be resuming this week. And we have about 15, most teams have about 15 games left. Some teams have 16 games left. But we're a month away from, a little over a month away from the start of the playoffs already. So we're in the home stretch. We're very much in the home stretch. It'll be interesting to see how teams kind of come out of the Olympic break and how they're able to either, kind of hit the ground running, or maybe they'll have a little bit of a slower start coming out of the break. But it'll be interesting to see what unfolds here in the final, I guess you could say, third maybe of the WNBA season, almost a fourth of the WNBA season. We're almost 3/4 of the way through, but it's been a fun season so far, and I'm ready to get back into the swing of things and get things rolling again. So with that said, I am really excited to be joined by someone who I've spoken to a few different times now. Somebody who I primarily have spoken to for stories at Canis Hoopus and Winsider. And that is Minnesota Timberwolves and Lynx Chief Operating Officer Ryan Tanke. Ryan's awesome. He's been great to me, as has the whole organization. But Ryan specifically has been great to me, and I really appreciate him jumping on the podcast to talk about the season so far, what the team has seen from an organization side rather than just strictly the product side. And what they're looking forward to not only the rest of the season, but moving forward. So without further ado, let's jump right into the podcast with Ryan Tanke. Ryan Tanke, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mitchell. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Appreciate all you're doing and covering our team, our league, everything. It's been great.
Well, I appreciate that, and thank you for your availability and always being there when needed and desired. So that's a great help as well. So I appreciate.
What do they say? The best ability is availability.
Availability. Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Right. I'm glad
absolutely.
I could be available.
Well, I appreciate it. We were just talking about this a little bit ago before we jumped on here, that it's kind of hard to believe that the Olympics are over with already. But I think I spoke to you, was it right at the beginning of the Olympics? And for a story I wrote at Canis Hoopus, and here we are 2 weeks later already. But what were your thoughts initially on the Olympics and specifically the Lynx that were represented?
Yeah, I think just as a whole, I thought the Olympics were awesome. I mean, I thought it was such a cool. NBC did a great job. I thought the whole coverage from wire to wire was exceptional. I don't know. I found myself watching more Olympics than I had in a very long time, and so I think the coverage was great. Specific to basketball, both women's and also on the men's side, I think the teams did what they needed to do. It wasn't without maybe a little bit of white knuckle driving through that final yesterday, but it was just extraordinary. And while I was watching it, just the competition and the intensity that was happening and unfolding in front of us, and obviously the fact that it was against France yesterday, in Paris for the Olympics. I mean, all of it, the stage was set for this incredibly historic game, and it was, and it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we're done with that, we quickly shift focus back to the WNBA season and finish off the final 15 games of the year before we get to the playoffs. So we're right back into the swing of things, which is fun. But it's I'm sure for Cheryl, for Fee, for Alana Smith and Bridget Carlton, that's a little hectic, a little crazy, but whatever. That's
it's hectic. I think. There's a little bit of an equalizer here across the league, right? Mm-hmm. Which is a number of teams had players that were competing. So I think the fact there was this natural break in the middle of the season Players, I think we're back in, first part of our August, I don't remember the exact date our
Mhm.
players came in, but we had players have been back in the gym with all of our assistant coaches. And so there's a little bit of a ramp up that's happening. And then of course with, Nafisa and Bridget and Alana, like they're coming back with Cheryl and they'll hit the ground running,
Mhm.
presumably, with a practice on Wednesday and game on Thursday, and
Right.
we're right back in it. And then it's a
Mhm.
sprint. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
the rest of the season is gonna go really quickly.
Mhm.
And we've played well at the beginning here to put ourselves into a really good position heading down the stretch. And so it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I kind of spoke to you, well, I did speak to you about this in the story that I mentioned earlier at Canis Hoopus, but kind of looking back at the first portion of the season, it's kind of the first three-fourths of the season, whatever it may be. I guess what was your kind of thought on how everything went, not only from an interest standpoint, maybe a team standpoint, but just kind of everything in its totality. How did the first portion of the season go? And especially, we talked about it in past conversations of
Yeah.
just the record numbers. I mean,
Yeah.
the interest.
I'll take maybe the league perspective first, then we'll talk
Hmm.
about the Lynx, Mitchell. The momentum that we're seeing and everybody's feeling right now from a league standpoint has been building for a number of years. As you look at TV ratings over the past several years, as you look at attendance trajectory over the past several years, even before this season, which everything has been certainly accelerated, everything's been on a really steep increase as a whole for this league. And
Hmm.
so the idea of growth stock has been in play for a number of years for the entire league that we're part of. And so I think what you've seen this year, and Cheryl early preseason mentioned this in a couple of press conferences, like it's all so accelerated this year, and it really is on all of us to operate in a business not as usual, I think was what Cheryl said, which I really liked, which is we've got to look, all of the teams in this league at
Hmm.
what do we need to do to capitalize on this momentum and this movement that's happening on before us. So what you've seen this year across the league has just been exaggerated with, an incredible rookie class and all of the impact of these great players and storylines and subplots. It really creates this incredible intrigue around the league, and that part is undeniable, as you've seen. And now
Hmm.
with national TV agreements and all the different things that are media agreements that are happening, it's all a really positive sign for the Lynx. Similarly, man, like we've been on an incredible trajectory the last couple of years, and now this year everything's been accelerated. We're going to hit franchise records, all-time highs in tickets, in sponsorships, in suites. Everything, TV ratings, are going to be up over 100% over a 2-year period of time on Bally Sports North. And so all of the metrics that we cover, that we focus on, are growing at such a rapid pace. Now we've got to just continue to make sure that we're making the right investments to continue that acceleration.
Hmm. Yeah, and talking or kind of now shifting focus, we looked at what has taken place. It's about now that we have these last 15 games and even beyond this season, but
Yeah.
specifically this season, now you got to build onto that. How are you guys planning to kind of seize the opportunity and continue to keep this ball rolling the rest of the season?
Yeah, there's a couple of things. One, with the remaining home games, we've got to
Hmm.
make sure that we're, creating as much exposure as we possibly can for this great team and what we hope is going to be a great run down the stretch here. Cheryl and Claire have done such a great job of building a team that is really easy and fun to cheer for, right?
Hmm.
And so it's a really fun team, I'm sure, for you to cover. It's a fun team, for us, to partner with and work with, and it's a fun team certainly to root for. So I think they've done a great job of just creating that foundation. We've now got a lot of great games down the stretch. I know we've got Vegas, we've got Indiana, we've got Chicago twice. We've got some really marquee matchups here that we've got to bring in, great audiences and crowds to create a home court advantage and just help accelerate into the postseason. As we now look, this is the time of year, Mitchell, we start to, wear two hats. We're finishing off this year, but we also started the process of renewing our season ticket memberships for next year, and we'll open season ticket memberships up next week for new business. We've been investing, and so we're creating a all-inclusive premium product for the first time, which is going to be our Lexus Courtside Club. And so creating that communal experience that's going to be different and something we hadn't done before. We're investing on we're calling it Backcourt Club, which is going to be almost 600 seats with exclusive access to the event level, and a private new club that's going to be open in time for this upcoming Timberwolves season and next Lynx season. So in total, you're talking about 1,100 premium seats that didn't exist for the Lynx before. So we're making sure we're putting ourselves in those types of positions. We've got new initiatives on the corporate partnership side and sponsorship side of our business. Our first annual Changemakers Summit is something that we've been working really hard at, and you've covered. We've got 3 inaugural partners in Target, Pentair, and Invent. They're coming together for our first Changemakers Summit with Maya Moore in 2 weeks from today. So we've got a lot of things that we're just trying to advance and continue to create the movement that we're on.
You kind of mentioned 2 things that would kind of fed into my next question. Obviously, that Indiana game, a lot of people are going to have circled. Not only is it Indiana coming to town, but it's also Maya Moore's night as well. What do you expect out of that game, and knowing what we already saw in one, in the previous game when Indiana came to town?
Yeah, that whole weekend's going to be a celebration, of Lynx basketball. I believe we've got the Vegas Aces on that Friday night. And then you come right back on a second night of a back-to-back against Indiana Fever. And to put a cherry on top, to have Maya Moore's jersey retirement ceremony happening post-game that night. It's just going to be an electric weekend of Lynx basketball. And so for us, we're expecting 2 great crowds, both games. Certainly the Fever game, we anticipate that being a full house sellout, as it was just before the break when the Fever made their first visit in. So we're really looking forward to that. It's been great to connect with even former season ticket holders that were part of that great championship run and want to come back and celebrate Maya. And so I think you're going to have a lot of people, coming out wanting to celebrate Maya that weekend. And it'll be great to have her and other legends from our past in the house and part of that weekend.
Overall, as far as when it comes to the fan experience and stuff, you kind of mentioned, or you did talk about the 2000 or the premium packages and the season ticket renewal and season tickets opening up for 2025.
Yep.
What do you hope, even starting this year, but especially next year, how do you hope that kind of enhances the fan experience, or kind of what fans experience when they do come into Target Center each night?
Yeah, we look at this as we're just getting started. And while we're really proud of the growth that's happening upon us, and, we're on the treadmill right now sprinting. And so sometimes it's hard to step off and sort of evaluate. But I will just say we look at it as we've got really, really big dreams and goals here on what we're trying to build. And so for us, this renewal process is just a continuation of that growth for our team, and ultimately the build for next season. We've got to first and foremost grow our season ticket base. We've still got a lot of opportunities, and so we welcome people that we want them to come on and be a part of this thing. And so as we continue to build the momentum, it really starts with people, and we've got to bring as many new season ticket holders into the organization as possible for next season. We've got to challenge ourselves around the right, size packages, and if you can't do a full season ticket, making sure we've got appropriate half season tickets and things like that to help us ultimately grow that fan connection and relationship with people. So, it could be a long off season in the WNBA, Mitchell, as you know. And so for us, we've got to capitalize while we're still playing basketball, and then we've got to find ways to stay connected to our fan base, throughout what, is a 6-7 month off season as we, begin that build and turn towards next season.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the fan base, I've talked to Cheryl about this. I've talked to a couple of the players too. And you kind of get to experience it on, both the Wolves and the Lynx side, as well as a lot of people in the organization. But the Lynx fan base is very unique, and I don't mean that in a mean way. I don't mean
It's
that
very what?
in a very unique.
Yeah.
Like it's very like it's unlike anything I've kind of really ever experienced. What has your experience been like with the Lynx fan base and just collectively as a group, what the fan base is like?
Passion. I mean, in
Yeah,
a word,
that is
there's
true.
passion, like,
That's a better
and
word than unique.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I would just say the pride the fan base has. I mean, the number of, we call them legends, but the season ticket holders that have been with us, since the inaugural season in 1998,
Mhm.
and have been with us now. I think it's season 26, so have been with us that entire run. They take a lot of pride of being legends that have been with us that every step of the way. So I think their investment in our team is certainly goes beyond just being season ticket holders. It's a very personal thing for them, as they were part of really launching this organization,
Mhm.
26 years ago. And so there's a ton of passion and pride that we've got to lean into it as we start to look at the future and how we're going to grow this organization. That group is the foundation, the season ticket holders that have been with us through 4 championships and an incredible run that Cheryl Reeve and her staff have really led us on this journey. We've got to grow the pie. And so we've got to look to expand audiences. We're really focused right now, Mitchell, on just, uh, you know, uh, youth basketball, and the
Mhm.
amount of Minnesota's got third in the country in participation rate of girls basketball. Like, there's so much opportunity for us to just go and create deeper connections with the youth basketball community. And um, sometimes there's inherent schedule challenges with a summer sport in which a lot of the girls are competing in the winter. So we've got to make sure that we're in gyms and in the right places during the winter months to set ourselves up for those engagement and connections. The Change Makers platform I talked about, I mean, that's about empowering the next generation of female leaders, something that, we're really invested in and really passionate about. And so, leaning into, a lot of different corporate and business leaders inside of the Twin Cities to help be part of that movement that we're on right now.
Mhm. Speaking of one more question for you. Speaking of the on the court
Yeah,
production, what do you expect out of this team, coming down the final stretch of the regular season?
it's going to be, I mean, if you look at the standings are really tight, and
Mhm.
there's going to be really some great storylines as you go 1 through 8, really. And
Mhm.
so, um, the team's done such a great job, and they came together quick this year. I mean, Cheryl and the coaching staff, we got out of the gates, and they had clearly a great training camp and great chemistry that was established early. As we jump right back into it, I think that's going to be a competitive advantage, as everybody's had some time off now, and the way in which we have this really great Lynx culture and chemistry that is there. I think it's going to help us get off to hopefully a great start, and I think a home court advantage that has been undeniable inside of Target Center. The crowds are growing, the atmosphere is electric, and I think that is also going to play a big part, as we go down the stretch here. But the team has done a great job. The coaching staff's done a great job of really setting us up for what should be a really fun finish and hopefully long postseason ahead.
Absolutely. Well, Ryan, I really appreciate you taking some time, chatting with me and jumping on the podcast, and looking forward to the rest of the regular season. Looking forward to some playoffs coming here in a little over a month, and we're back at it. We're hitting the home stretch. I appreciate you jumping on and joining me.
Yeah, I appreciate the coverage. Sincerely, you do a great job of
You.
covering our team and league, and we really appreciate it, man. It's been great to be here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, we'll talk
All
soon,
right.
Mitchell. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks. Thank you once again to Ryan for joining the podcast this week. As I mentioned before the recording, Ryan has been great to me. He's treated me really well over the years, and I really appreciate him not only joining the podcast but also continuing to be out there in the public and be out there with the media, being interactive, and just being involved. It makes a big difference. It goes a long way, and I think the fans and kind of the media base for sure, but everybody really recognizes that and notices that. So I appreciate Ryan, all he does for not only the organization, but also for myself and the rest of us media members. Greatly appreciated, and I appreciate the time that he took to join on the podcast this week. As I do every week, I want to give a shout out to Jeremy Rushing for producing this podcast. Jeremy and I have been on this journey for about 2 years now, I think. We started at the beginning of the 2023 season, partnering to bring this podcast to you guys. So it's crazy. It's been about 2 years already, but it's been a blast, and I really appreciate everything that Jeremy does and continues to do for Hitting the Hardwood. So thank you, Jeremy. Also, a thank you to our two sponsors, Homage and Better Edge. I've talked about them ad nauseum here on this podcast, but they're great people, great organizations, great businesses that you should support if you choose to do so. Highly recommend them. Homage is I've mentioned this in the past, but they're a vintage clothing store. They do a lot of WNBA gear, hoodies, t-shirts, everything in between. They do any other sport that you want, but specifically the WNBA. They also do some throwback stuff. So check them out at homage.com. That's homage.com. BetterEdge.com, Better Edge, I should say. Those guys have treated me really well over the last couple of years. Great group of guys. I love working with Greg. But go check out Better Edge. It's one of my, if not my top betting platform that I use. I use it quite regularly. And if you are a first-time user, go to Better Edge, BETTOR edge.com, and go to betteredge.com/Lynx. Use the promo code Lynx, LYNX, and you get $20 in free play when you sign up and make your first deposit. So if that's enough to push you over the edge, please go check out Better Edge and the great company that is Better Edge. They're like I said, they're great guys, and they've treated me really well over the years. So also want to bring light our Patreon page, as I do every week. Obviously our Patreon page, you can visit that at patreon.com/hitting the hardwood. That's where you'll get exclusive news, early access to podcasts, information that you won't get anywhere else. You'll get our power rankings before anybody else, and much more. So please go check that out, patreon.com/hitting the hardwood. Now, with that said, I'm really looking forward to the final stretch of the regular season here. Looking to see, or excited to see the games getting underway, seeing how teams look here coming out of the break. And we're, like I said, we're a little over a month away from the start of the playoffs, one of the best times of the year. So it's crazy how fast this season has flown. It's crazy the Olympics are over, but here we are, and we're gonna keep trucking along. So really appreciate you listening this week, and I will be back with you in the next episode. Thank you for listening.